Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again. It's another week of tough talking, sports, and hot topics. It is the RoboWriter podcast. I am your boy, RoboWriter. She is Nikia Jones. Nikki Nick, what's happening?
Nothing much. Good afternoon. Good evening.
Oh, you must have been having fun lately. You don't even know what time it is.
I really don't. All I know is it's showtime.
That's right. It's showtime. We got a jam-packed show this evening. A lot of football to talk about, a lot of sports to talk about in general, and some interesting hot topics. And as always, the good look, bad look countdown. So, without further ado, we're going to start off with some NBA news, which kind of has some NFL theory to it. LeBron James has announced that even though he supports Colin Kaepernick in his decision to not stand up for the national anthem, that he himself will not sit down. He'll stand up because he respects it for a completely different reason, and has a lot of respect for the troops and the honor in which they hold the flag and what it stands for those people, so he won't sit. Nick, do you have a problem with LeBron not being willing to sit down and make some big stand, being as big as an athlete as he is? And I already know you're a LeBron hater, so I can't wait to hear this.
Oh God, I'm not a LeBron hater. I just my thing is, like I've said previous weeks, you have whatever. I stand by whoever's showing, I guess, standing strong in their beliefs. So I mean, just because he's not following what other athletes are doing doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't believe in what's going on out here. It's just his decision to make to do that, and I respect his right to do
so. Okay. And I kind of piggybacking on what you said, and the key word is respecting. You have to respect his opinion and his right to do what he sees fit, whether it be sitting or standing. I respect his idea to sit. And it's the decision that a lot of athletes are making. It's not that they don't feel what Colin Kaepernick is saying. It's just that for them, it may hold another, feeling. It may emote to them something else. And so they do stand up for it. They do honor it. But that doesn't mean they don't see the plight of the people of color that Colin Kaepernick is expressing, that are oppressed and being beaten down. So LeBron, it was already props for him for what he did at the ESPYs with Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony and CP3 and those guys. So it's his decision not to stand up. He doesn't have to. Not to sit down. He doesn't have to sit down. So more power to him. I'm pretty sure in some way, form, or fashion, he'll show his support for that cause and for bridging that gap and trying to fix that problem that exists in America. So, however LeBron sees fit to do that is on LeBron. Moving right along from the parquet to the gridiron, we got a lot of NFL to talk about. Number one, for all you Cowboys fans out there, I need to know, Nick, has Dez Bryant and his injury and also his attitude in the locker room and in the Cowboys facility become a distraction for this team? I mean, they did win last week, this past weekend without him, but there was a lot of talk about he's missing meetings, he's not going to this, he's not going to that. He was supposed to already been getting an MRI on his knee. He neglected to do that for a while until he finally went and got one, and then they saw the hairline fracture. I mean, has Dez Bryant become a distraction for this team?
I think he has. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot going on with the Cowboys. It always seems like it is. given the name of their team and what their team. Well, anyways, I'm not even for there, but I think it's a distraction. I mean, a lot of times, like I said, previous, I keep reiterating my points. I guess. I mean, it's always a distraction on the team when you're not coming in and doing your job. At the end of the day, this is your livelihood. This is your job. Come in, do your job, get it, carry out the season. Like, I don't got time for the drama kings, like our dearly departed Bradford.
Dearly departed. The man ain't died. He just went to a different team. Is he dead to you? Is that what you telling me?
He's
There's
dead
Sam
to me.
Bradford. You are dead to Nicky Nick. Oh wow. I gotta say, as long as they're winning, as long as they continue to win, you can't say it's a distraction. But if the L's start to pile up, then you can say there's a problem, and that's where you have to stake your claim. You have to make your point is with the wins and the losses. As long as they're winning, they won last week with him not being there and not playing. If he comes back this weekend, we'll see what happens. If they lose, then maybe it is a distraction. If they win, then they can say that they're above it and they look the better for it. From Des Bryant to another distraction that was ended over in Cleveland, the Browns decided to part ways with high level wide receiver Josh Gordon. He elected to go into a rehab facility for his substance abuse problems, which is nothing but commendable. And the Browns decided that they're going to release him and just part ways and let him get himself better, and his health and his mental and physical status is more important in the game of football at this point. What are your thoughts on how this transpired? Was it a good idea for him to part ways with Josh Gordon? Should they have waited on him, or was it good that they just cut bait?
I think for now it's a good thing. It's always a sad story to me, sad, tragic, whatever you want to call it, when somebody is addicted to something and they can't control it because they're addicted and they have no handle over it. So, I mean, for me, it's showing, and this is something from reading about him because, I mean, I knew his name, I didn't necessarily know his story, but this is something that he's been struggling with for a while. This is his first incident and all of that. So it's like, to me, everybody's not meant to be in that spotlight. And sometimes being in that spotlight makes it harder, especially when you have an addiction. So I wish him the best of luck. I hope he can overcome this. And I hope to see him in the NFL one day, hopefully. Back in the NFL, I should say. Hopefully.
That was well put, Nicky Nick, and you're absolutely right. It's tough. Addictions and things like that are tough. You have to look at it from the mindset of it is a disease. I mean, addiction is a disease. You need help to overcome it, and he's seeking out help. And like you said, I hope to see him on the NFL level again. He was a tremendous talent for the amount of time that he was on the field. That can't be denied, and it would be a shame if we don't get to see that talent meets its maximum potential. And with that said, we are going to play a little game where we see whether or not certain teams who are flying high or laying low are going to reach their maximum potential or crash and burn. We're going to play a little contender or pretender. I'm going to call out some teams. First, we'll do teams that are doing really well, and we'll see whether or not they're contenders or pretenders. We'll start off with the New England Patriots, who are going to get Tom Terrific back this week. They also play those lowly Browns. They're 3-1, coming off a thrashing by the Buffalo Bills, in which they were actually held to no points at home for the first time since like the first Bush era. So, Nick, the New England Patriots, are they a contender or a pretender?
With Mr. Brady returning, they will definitely be a contender.
I gotta agree with you. They're definitely a contender. Look what they were able to do with, you know, who knows at quarterback from week to week, and they were able to sustain. They were able to go 3-1, which is almost the best they could hope for. So they're definitely going to be a contender. Whenever you got Tom Brady, you're a contender. That should help Rob Gronkowski get out of his slump and see them once again probably win that division and make a little run in the playoffs. Number 2 is our very own Philadelphia Eagles. They are currently one of the 2 left undefeated teams in the league. They're at 3-0, coming off a bye week. Scheduled to play the Detroit Lions this weekend. They have the number 1 scoring defense and number 4 overall defense in the NFL. But they do have a rookie starting at quarterback who has surprised in the first 3 weeks. So I have to ask you, Nick, are your Eagles a contender or a pretender?
My Eagles are definitely the real deal this season, especially with the defense. So I must say we are a contender. Every week we're a contender.
Now, I want to ask you, how far do you see them going with that defense and as well as Carson Wentz has played? I mean, how far do you see it going?
I'm
Are
not
you
sure
Super
yet
Bowl or
because
bust, or are you just happy to win the division and see what happens when you get in the dance? I mean, how far are you riding this train, this Wentz wagon,
I
so
want
to
to ride
speak?
it all the way. So that's my thing. I want to ride it all the way, but I mean, I know we're going to have some tough games. So we still have some tough games ahead of us, being a very early bye week. So we'll have to see how everything goes. But as far as right now, pretty much the team to try to beat. So I can say faithfully, at least for this week, they are.
All right. I've got to agree with you in the sense of they're definitely a contender, definitely for the division title, and maybe even a little further than that. I can't quite see a Super Bowl this year with one of the teams we'll get to in a minute being so good and probably blocking their path to that, as well as some other semi-elite teams in the NFC. So we'll see where that goes. But I definitely think they can win the division. I definitely think they can have a chance at not only hosting a home playoff game, but maybe even getting a bye. But we'll see what happens. That defense is elite. I write it off the stats. I mean, the sky's the limit for them at this point. Now, from the Philadelphia Eagles, we go to the other undefeated team with the best record in the NFL at 4-0. It's the Minnesota Vikings, the Purple People Eaters. The Vikings are without Adrian Peterson and have Sam Bradford at quarterback, but yet are undefeated because of largely a phenomenal defense. A defense that has been said to be Denver-esque in comparison. So, Nick, I gotta ask: are the Minnesota Vikings, with their current situation, no Adrian Peterson and Sam Bradford at quarterback, are they contenders or pretenders?
It's hard because Adrian Peterson is a good player for them, a good scorer for them. So Bradford's good. Saying that Bradford can't do it alone. So to me, with the injuries that's plaguing them right now, I think that they'll be a pretender this week.
This week, yeah, that's a tough one. I think niggas calling them a pretender. I gotta say that defense is elite, and I think you can carry them a lot of places. But As long as they keep Sam Bradford in the mode that he's in, which is not doing a whole lot. I mean, he's only going 170, 180 yards per game at this point, but he isn't making a mistake. He's not turning the ball over. And they're running the ball effectively, even with Adrian Peterson out. So I think as long as they minimize the mistakes and Sam Bradford still plays error-free football, then you got to say that they're going to be a contender. This is a team that can easily go to the NFC Championship game, maybe even the Super Bowl with that caliber of defense. So for me, I'm going to say a contender. Now, this next team, I'm not so sure. The Baltimore Ravens, up until last week, were undefeated until they lost to the Raiders. It made them 3-1. But I need to know because I'm not so sure on them whether or not the Baltimore Ravens are a contender or a pretender.
It seems like they're always a contender until something happens, like maybe them losing or something. So, it might be a pretender for me because it just might be downhill from here. But a lot of times, depending on how you lose, when you lose, who you lose to, gives you extra motivation to go out and do better the next week. So, pretender finally.
Pretender. I gotta agree with you. I think they're a pretender because they haven't played anybody. The teams they've beaten have been really, really bad teams. There's a few. They beat Jacksonville. They beat the Browns. And I mean, those are just awful teams. They haven't beaten anybody of substance. When they did go up against a team that was at least middle of the road, if not a little better than average, in the Oakland Raiders, they lost. I don't think this team can beat quality teams, and for that reason, to me, they are definitely a pretender. One last team that came to mind, and then we'll get into whether or not certain teams can rebound and make a run. The newly named Los Angeles Rams are 3-1 after having an abysmal showing in week 1 against the San Francisco 49ers. Was that is what we seeing now the real thing, Nicky Nick, or is it just a mirage? Is it all smoke and mirrors?
It is smoke and mirrors, not with the Rams, not right now.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I think they're terrible. It seems to me that once again you have a team where they play teams that they play tough against, and for some reason always beat those teams. Like usually they play tough in their division all year round. I don't know what happened in the San Francisco game, but they've been known to knock off the teams in their division almost every single year. They've beaten Seattle at home a number of different years. They beat Seattle this year. They beat Arizona this year. They also beat. They also had a victory against a team that wasn't so good. So to me, it just seems like they're not scoring a whole bunch of points. They're not blowing people out. It's more like being able to play really good defense, which they do. But when they come up against teams that are better offensively than they are defensively, they're going to lose a whole lot of games. So to me, they're definitely a pretender. And now we switch gears from contenders and pretenders to who still is alive, who can still make a run. Our awesome teams that are not doing so well, that actually have losing records. All these teams are at least 1-3, and not 1-4 by now. And you got to, at least 1-3. And Nick, I want you to tell me whether or not they're still alive and can make a move that maybe can get them a wild card or maybe even a division. Number 1 is the Washington Redskins, sitting at 1-3, already losing a tough game in the division. You think the defending division champions are still alive, or should they be left for dead?
The Redskins is just I don't know. I think I'll root for the Redskins before I would the Giants. But this season, not so much. They're messing up at critical points and times, and it's just, to me, it's all over the place. They have some very strong players on their team, but it's just something's not clicking, not happening. So they may have a chance, given how Dallas and the Giants may go to well, not just them, but they may have a chance at a wild card game. But other than that, I don't really see them. If somebody else doesn't mess up, I really don't see them going anywhere else at this point.
Okay, I was saying with you. I think they're a lost cause, even though they did win it. It seems like Kirk Cousins seems to regress. I mentioned all off season and last year that he didn't beat a winning team. He didn't beat anybody that was any good. Like when you start waxing a bunch of bums and then when it toot your chest out like you the best thing since sliced bread, it kind of annoys me. They didn't beat anybody with a winning record. He still hasn't beaten anybody with a winning record. But that's that. New Orleans Saints is next. Quick, Nick. Are they still alive or should they be left for dead? New Orleans Saints are 0-3 or 1-3.
They're 1-3.
1-3. They've been look pathetic defensively. They should be 0-3.
They do, but
they should be 0-1,000 the way they play defense.
They should, but yeah, they just don't have it. So that's it.
That's it for them. Moving right along, the San Diego Chargers, who seems to always kind of start slow and then they pick it up later on in the season and make these runs toward the playoffs. Can they pull another one of those out of their hat?
I think they just might. I mean, given their history and given what they do and what they're known to do, I can say that yes, they just might be a contender later on.
I gotta disagree with you just because they have a rash of injuries. I mean, I feel sorry for them. Danny Woodhead, torn ACL, he's gone. Wide receiver, he's gone with a knee injury. Manti Te'o, the linebacker, he's gone with a ruptured Achilles. I mean, it's just one thing after another for that team, and I just don't see how they already facing an uphill battle are going to be able to right the ship and get some W's. I just don't see it happen. So to me, they're definitely a lost cause. And last but not least is the Miami Dolphins, who just seem to underachieve. Seems like they have a nice roster. They have some talent on that football team, but Ryan Tannehill, when put to the task, can't quite get the job done. So I ask you, is it another ho-hum, middle-of-the-road season for the Miami Dolphins?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I just don't think Tannehill, while he has all the talent and potential in the world, he's just not utilizing it, and it's not showing. And they're doomed to be the standing picture of mediocrity. So that does it for the football portion. We're going to have a little quick move into the MLB, where we would be remiss, being Philadelphia natives, to not mention Ryan Howard playing his last game as a Philadelphia Philly this past weekend. He's probably due to be not re-signed and signed elsewhere. So, Nick, your thoughts on the Ryan Howard era coming to a close in Philadelphia?
Well, I'm not a baseball fan. It's kind of sad. He's a great player, and it's kind of sad that his time has ended. But, I mean, he has had a great run of 13 years. So I think that, I mean, it's always good to go out, even if you're not quite at the top, you're on top of your game. He still has opportunities to do other things in sports as far as whatever his career goals may be. But it's gonna be interesting to see how they revamp the team for next season and everything. So I
Yeah,
wish
and
them the
definitely
best of luck.
they may be on the upswing. The farm system looks good, so they're greener pastures that lie ahead for the Philadelphia Phillies. Ryan Howard's definitely going to be missed from a standpoint of the fans. They give him the nickname the Big Homie for all the home runs he hits and being a big guy. And I mean, nobody's going to forget that magical '08 season when the Philly curse, the Philly drought was ended, and we had our parade, the long-awaited parade down Broad Street when the Phillies won the World Series. He's going
Yeah.
to be a made man in this town for me from that. There's nothing Ryan Howard can do wrong in my eyes for being a part of that team, and that's being the last really piece of that team that you can see with Chooch being dealt earlier this season, Carlos Ruiz, and now Ryan Howard not being re-signed. That's the end of that chapter, and we're moving on to something different. Now Ryan Howard has said that he wants to play again. It's not like he wants to not play anymore, but he is older. He's had some injury problems. He is known to strike out a hell of a lot. So it's not telling whether or not he's going to get signed. He said he does not want to be a DH or designated hitter, which means he would only hit on certain occasions. He wouldn't regularly play in the field, and that would cut his chances in half right there because there's only one league, the American League, that has the DH. So it's going to be tough for Ryan Howard if he does believe he wants to continue to play baseball, but I wish him all the best. And before we get into our hot topics, we're going to kick it to our sponsor, Pay Some Bills, and here it is. It's your boy, RoboWriter, reminding you for all your residential and commercial cleaning needs, the choice is easy. Shank's Cleaning Service offers a wide variety of cleaning solutions for your home or business. From landscaping and moving to painting and carpet cleaning, Shank's Cleaning Service uses environmentally friendly, all-natural chemicals. So don't delay your opportunity to have your home or business cleaned properly. It's just a phone call away. Call 267-970-5034. That's 267-970-5034 now for your free estimate. Or visit Shank's Cleaning Service on Facebook and Instagram. Remember, that's Shank's Cleaning Service. Be legendary. That is just a kick to our sponsor, one of our great sponsors, Shank's Cleaning Service. Make sure you check them out, and always be legendary. Now, our hot topics range from the absurd and weird to the very serious. First off, with some weird news. A woman says she came home to find burglars having sex on her couch. I gotta ask, what? I can't imagine what you would do if you had that situation occurred to you.
I can't imagine what I would do either. But the only thing I could think of hearing this story, reading this story was maybe in the heat of the moment things got hot for them. Hey, we're
The
robbing
adrenaline was
house.
rushing.
That turned them on. It turned them on. The fact that they're robbing somebody's house. So, I mean, I don't know. I probably would walk in and walk out, like, because I would be in disbelief. Like, not only did you break in the house, but you're having sex on my couch. Like, no. So, yeah. I'll probably turn around in disbelief and then come in and
I don't know what I would do.
Try not to assault them.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do if I walked in on something like that. But moving right along to more about couples. The hot topics focus on couples this week, and there was an article saying that couples who play together, who often stay together, do you think it's important for couples to seek exercise and recreation, things of that nature, together in order to strengthen a relationship, Nikki?
I do, because if you're able to play around with the person who you're dating, who you're involved with, married, or whatever, it's important that you not only are serious when you need to be serious, but also can play and joke and laugh at each other, laugh together. So to me, it's important. It's important to have that bond with someone, because that means you're truly being yourself with that person.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's allowing you to open up to that person and see, a side of you maybe they don't see often, and allows y'all to kind of bond. So I think it is cool, and the couples should try to work toward working out together or just exercising together or playing sports or something like that together. It will probably be fun, and I know I wouldn't mind doing it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, something that's been on the all time high, something that's been a trending topic, is emotional cheating. And what that is when you may not be physically sleeping with someone else when you're in a relationship, but you are developing feelings and having a relationship with somebody that may cross boundaries. I actually have a list here of what was considered crossing the line and would make you guilty of emotionally cheating. Number one was you spend a lot of emotional energy on that person. You end up sharing stuff that you don't even share with your partner. Hopes and dreams, things that would actually connect you to your partner. Number two is you dress up for that person. Number three, you make a point to find ways to spend time together, and that time becomes very important to you. Number four, you'd feel guilty if your partner saw you together. You are doing things and saying things that you would never do or say in front of your spouse. Number five, you share your feelings of marital dissatisfaction. Number six, you're keeping secret the amount of time you're spending with the person, including emailing, calling, and texting. And number seven, you start to feel dependent on the emotional high that comes with that relationship, with that platonic or maybe not so platonic friend. So I have to ask you, Nick, do you believe there's such thing as emotional cheating? And what are your thoughts on it?
I do believe there is such thing as emotional cheating, because sometimes, depending on what's going on in the relationship, it comes a point where you feel like it comes a point where you may feel like the person doesn't understand you, doesn't know what's going on, may not may be listening but not really listening and hearing you out. So I think when it comes to that point, sometimes someone else is easier to talk to, whether it's a female friend, male friend, what have you. Somebody else is somebody else to talk to, I guess, almost in a way side with you and your thoughts. So I mean, it happens. Now, the severity of it depends on how you define cheating. So, if you if you define cheating as anybody who you're talking to of the opposite sex, then you will be guilty of cheating. But I think in your relationship, like I said, you have to define what's cheating, maybe what's expected or what's not expected. Or, I mean, even if it does happen, to talk it out and find out, okay, why are you doing this? Because I mean, sometimes it could just be it could just be an issue of miscommunication. And I mean, you vent and talk to somebody else, but at the same time, you didn't tell your partner that, okay, I need for you to do X, Y, and Z, or to hear me out on X, Y, and Z. And sometimes it boils down to that, and then you ended up talking to somebody else. But everything I'm talking about, it all boils down to me to what do you in your relationship define as cheating, and then you have to go from there.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear what you said. I definitely think it's a thing, and I've heard of relationships ending over it. There's a friend of mine who actually was engaged to be married, and literally the day, I believe, probably the day before the wedding, the whole thing was called off. And mind you, these two people shared a child together and were getting ready to be married, and the whole nine, and the whole thing was called off because of an emotional cheating by the woman in the incident. She caught feelings for somebody else. They hadn't done anything, but she couldn't help these feelings, and I thought it was kind of crazy. And then they wind up not being able to reconcile, and now she's with that other person. Um, to me, I believe it's something that can be a very slippery slope. It can go from just being something platonic and just somebody to have a shoulder to cry on, or just an open ear to hear your problems, but it can always lead to it being more than just helping. Like the list was saying, if you're starting to make make time to make sure you like hang out with this person, or you're hanging out with this person and you're not telling the person you're with that you're hanging out with this person, that's an issue. It means you're purposely hiding this from that person. Like if there's something you couldn't do in the light, then you shouldn't be doing it in the dark, because that means you're not proud of it, or you know it's wrong. So there's a lot of truth that goes into that list I read earlier. So I definitely think it's something true. I definitely think it's something that can be dangerous to a relationship, and definitely a very slippery slope. But from those hot topics, we're gonna go to the fun part of the show and the good look, bad look countdown. We're gonna rattle off some topics, and Nikki Nick is gonna tell me, and I'll tell her whether we think it's a good look or a bad look. The good look count, bad look countdown. We can start off with Beyonce's concert over the weekend in Philadelphia was in the rain. I mean, was it a good look or a bad look that the concert still went on and the rain actually stopped, but that people were standing out there in the rain, proud to be in the Beehive? Was that a good look or a bad look?
I think for your favorite entertainer, me personally, I wouldn't do it. But I just heard tickets cost and everything. Think is a good look for a fan, bad look for somebody who's not a fan and doesn't care.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it's a good look, because if I had paid what some of them people paid to go to that concert, I'd have swam to that moment. I'd have been sitting in there with galoshes and a slicker on and everything else. That concert was too damn expensive to be missing it because of the rain. So it was definitely a good luck on the part of the fans that they showed their support and they were willing to make sure that their money didn't go to waste. Next up was the annual Slut Walk in Los Angeles, held by Mother herself.
I don't understand her whole slut walk. I mean, I do, but don't. So I would say name makes it sound bad. I guess for her cause is good. So same like Beyonce.
That's Amber Rose for you guys that don't know who Mother is. That's Amber Rose. To me, I think it's a bad look, and I might catch a lot of flack from the feminists and the ladies out there. I'm sorry, but there's one thing to be proud of who you are and go out there and say, no matter how I dress or act, it doesn't give you the right to touch me or do anything to me physically that I don't allow you to do. I 100% agree with that and get that. But at the same time, that does not excuse you from the way somebody's going to maybe approach you or speak to you.
Agreed.
Like, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, and you shouldn't think something about somebody by the way they dress, but the way human nature is set up is I know how to approach a person based on the vibe they're giving off. I'm not going to talk to some chick I know is from the hood that's 2 seconds out of the project the same way I would talk to a woman that I know got a degree from Harvard or something. It's going to be a completely different vernacular. I'm going to use a completely different vocabulary. And that's just the way human nature is. So if you go out there and you go to clubs and things like that, dress like a skank, or like a slut, as they like to call it, you're going to get approached and talked to a certain way. It may not be right, but it is the nature of the beast. It's what's going to happen. And that's just my opinion on it. So for me, it's a bad look. I want to take time out from the good look, bad look countdown to shine some light on a very good cause, one that's near and dear to my heart, being a cancer survivor. So make sure you guys listen up and definitely support this next sponsor. Hey, it's your boy RoboWriter, reminding you that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this year, what better way to support the cause than by giving the gift of hope, along with a little something tasty. Jay's Sweet Treats is starting their first annual fundraiser and selling Ribbon of Hope lollipops for $1.50 each. That's right, only $1.50 each. And all proceeds are going toward providing smile bags for the patients battling this devastating disease. You can also continue the blessing by adding a smile note. Everyone who purchases a lollipop has the option of providing a note of encouragement and hope. If you would like to purchase any lollipops, especially if you want to place an order for more than a dozen, please contact Jay at Jay Sweet Treats at 267-338-5694. Once again, for Jay Sweet Treats, that's 267-338-5694. Or you can visit Jay Sweet Treats on Facebook. All right. Definitely make sure you go check out Jay Sweet Treats. Support the cause. It's a way to give hope to people. I know my personal story. When I was in the hospital, I spent 45 days in the hospital getting chemo treatments, getting treated for leukemia, which I am 100% free of, going more than a year now. I got a baggie that came to my room that had autographed stuff in it from the Phillies, candy in it, and just a warm, comforting note that definitely lifted my spirits. So from there, we're going to finish the good look, bad look countdown. Next topic is Lady Gaga is set to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show. Nick, is it a good look or bad look that they reached out to Lady Gaga?
I have a lot to say, but to me, it's a bad look. I would, at this day and age, not that I'm a Justin Bieber fan, but somebody to me just to switch it up a little bit, like Usher, maybe like I said, Justin Bieber, somebody, even a group I would have rather seen again. So yeah, Lady Gaga to me is just a weird.
Not a Gaga fan.
I mean, I was a fan of hers a little bit in the beginning, but now she's just too weird for me. So
Okay. For me, it's a good look. It's something different. I think a lot of her songs are very good, very popular, and for the crowd they're getting into, you're talking about this is gonna be like a pop kind of crowd, even though or the urban contemporary, the R&B, the hip hop, things of that nature. This is a pop crowd you're talking about at Super Bowl. It's more engrossed in all people and all walks of life and all shades. So it's a good look because I think it'll be entertaining for the people that are there. The very last good look, bad look countdown is rap beefs. Just quickly before we get out of here, what's your you got one word to describe the beefs that are going on right now with Meek Mill, The Game, Beanie Siegel. What would it be? One word, Nick.
hilarious.
Hilarious. I agree. It is definitely hilarious. I've been Robert the Writer. She's Nick. We're getting out of here. We'll see you next week.